shouldn't even be here anyways.
I think the guy in the suit, is that Darren? I don't know. So you got Debrowski, you got Darren, Jeff shouldn't have to consider that, Mendrick.
Hello, everybody! Woo! We're going to wait 5 more minutes, but I believe Mr. Sullivan cannot make it. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Okay, so he won't be with us tonight. We'll reach out to him and get him out here another time, okay?
Well, I knew that, but that's not what he just said.
We do what we can. We do what we can. All right, well, I'll tell you what. First and foremost, you're going to see me move around here, and you're going to see me public some papers. The Democrats, either they stole or they broke my teleprompter. Right? You know, that happens. It can happen at the UN, right? So, welcome to the Rock House. I believe there's some people here that are even. Is there somebody here from Indiana? Indiana in the house? Right? I don't know, Wisconsin? I know there's a bunch of you from down south. That's okay, that's good. So if you've never been, first of all, on behalf of the Kane County Republican GOP, and I see a lot of our chairs and colleagues are here, welcome, okay? And if you've never been to one of our meetings, and I don't know exactly how some of you guys, you get around your meeting, we do a couple things before we get started. And that is we honor God and then we honor our country. Yeah. So, I'd like to pick somebody off the crowd who will lead us off in prayer. And Penny, where are you? Penny, is my chair here from campus? Yes, it is. Come on, you guys, get her up. Penny, come on up. Come on up, Penny. She does really good praise.
He wants to leave it back to the rest of the
Oh, I actually can see what's
It's so hard to hear. What? I know that. If those speakers holler, they'll be fine. They'll figure it out.
Let's pray. Father, thank you for allowing us to live in this magnificent country where we have the freedom to choose our leaders. And Father, as we stand before you with these wonderful candidates, I pray that you will bless each and every one of them and that they will all strive to do your will and in a manner that's totally pleasing to you. And Father, help us to preserve all of the magnificent liberties that you've given us, and let's all show how much we truly prize them by working it and showing you that we're forever grateful for all that you've given us. Father, we ask that you bless all of the candidates in all of the races on both sides, and may every candidate strive to do your will and do the very best job they can do for Illinois. We praise you, Lord Jesus. Amen.
Penny wasn't nervous at all. You know what? Can you guys forgive me, please? I'd like to call right now for a moment of silence, okay, for the Bailey family, out of respect, okay, for what happened to their family and many others that have gone through death and whatever issue, okay? So please, let's start right now. Thank you. Thank you. Nobody should ever go through any of that. Okay, so, Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know if Mike Carlson, my Sergeant of Arms in Camden, is here tonight. So, since we have a sheriff in the house, we're going to ask the sheriff to lead us in the pledge. The flag is right behind us.
I'm standing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We struggle at the KGOP with, is it one nation under God or one nation under God? So we're still trying to figure that out, but we'll get there. We'll get there, folks. All right, well, again, I want to thank everybody. Okay, I have the notes here, and I actually did, Shannon prepared this for me, and I did change them around. I'm going to try to stick to them. I know they get mad at me because I have a tendency to go off script. And so I'm going to try to stick to these as much as possible because I really don't need to have Shannon do the hell out of me tonight. It just won't look good. So, again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Kane County GOP First Look at Governor Forum. What a crowd we have here tonight. Hey, Tony, you up there? Tony, my music man? Oh, one night. Come on, Tony. Where's the music?
We all decided you have to sing it.
Not good. You guys got to drink more before today. We have a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues are here tonight, a lot of people that we're meeting for the first time, and a lot of people that work together with us. These committeemen, lots of wonderful candidates. And, so it's an honor for me to have you guys all here. Candidates, I know your struggle, I know what you guys go through, I know how hard it is, but you know what? From the bottom of my heart, I truly thank all of you. What you guys do for us is unbelievable. And the fact that you take that up, it's more important that we got to get behind it. Forget about the sides. So that I got to tell you, I have candidates right up here with me that I know talk to each other, and I know they can call each other friends. Okay, and at the end of the day, that's what's most important. It's the fact that we're willing to help each other out, support each other, and so that's an important thing, and we need to keep on working together. Besides the match, I think there's probably some other folks that may not have been able to make it here tonight for whatever reason. We are running on, is it FaceTime? Facebook? Facebook? What happened to the YouTube? No? I don't know, we've got a few feeds going, so they'll be able to see us. And for the folks that were not able to make it, I hope you're watching. And God bless you at home, and join the membership. Now, there's one individual that was supposed to be here tonight. JB Pritzker, you guys may have heard of him, right? He called me. I told him that we took all the toilets out and removed them. So it's not Hey, am I going to get you the right one? Oh, man. All right. So, also, there's another guy that was supposed to be here tonight. You may have heard of him, Sheriff. It's Jim Comey. He was supposed to come, but I guess he's getting fitted for an orange suit. About that? All right. There was one other gentleman, a guy that I respect and honor. Where's these cameras? Where's the cameras for the live feeds? Where are they at? Can somebody wave their hand? Right there. President Donald J. Trump. President Donald. He was supposed to be here tonight. And if this message gets out to him, you're not here tonight, that's okay, I forgive you. But February 21st, we need a speaker for the Lincoln dinner. Alright? I can really use it there, buddy. Alright, so I wanna thank the people that that work hard behind the scenes to put this together, okay? Shannon Sullivan, Pam Carr, Jessica Bridges, Greg Buck, where are you guys at? There's a lot of work that goes into these things, and so sometimes when we're sitting at a table and I decide, hey, I got an idea, let's do this, and there's only like 2 or 3 weeks to do it, we got a lot of people within our organization that help put these things together. We've done it with rallies, we've done it with street corner rallies that, you know, a lot of our friends, Michelle, there she is, Michelle, my executive vice chair, she's here. And, you know, they put rallies at street corners, and we fought against a lot of the, our counterparts. I don't want to say the enemies, because we just did a prayer for the Democrats, so I don't want to call them enemies, it'll look bad. So, you know, and so there's a lot of work that goes that's involved in these type of functions, and we try our best, right? We try to get everybody together. And in this particular evening, we wanted you guys to get to know the candidates, okay, running not only for governor, but there's candidates that are here, right? You guys can talk to them and get to know them and just see what you can do to support them, right? So I want to thank all you guys. I want to thank that committee for doing the work that they've done. You guys are unbelievable. You really are. God bless. Tonight, we are here at this wonderful place called the Rock House. You got to say it with a German accent. I want a very special thank you to owner Bob Karts and the entire Rock House team for allowing us to use this incredible venue. Just so maybe you guys don't know this, this is a historic theater. It was built in 1910, and it once hosted legendary performers of the likes of Charlie Chaplin, Bob Hope, and the Three Stooges. And now it's got me and you over here, baby. Go figure, right? Go figure. You know what? They were talking to him. Am I going to be nervous? No, I'm not. I'm okay up here. I just picture a bunch of people in their underwear, like they did in the Brady Bunch, right? And the problem is, I told Danny, please wear your underwear, and Danny forgot them. So I'm going to try not to look that way. So I want to thank the Bob Karras, and you know what, you guys, he donated this place to us tonight, but you know, we have to do it out. We have to do our part, and so our part is, I told Shannon and Greg, just bring a snack and make it really salty so these people drink. So drink, and then tip the bartender, okay? Because we got to take care of them, all right? Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob, for what you do for us. All right, so tonight's event, very important, also serves as a Patriot Club membership drive for the King County GOP. Okay, this is the Patriot Club is more than just a membership, it's a movement, folks. It's what we put together, and it's the way that we try to bring everybody together. You can join in, and you can sign up, and it's an exclusive program, brings together Republicans from across King County who want to make a difference, support conservative values, and strengthen our local communities. Your membership dues, they go directly to support the King County GOP, Get Out the Vote initiative, community outreach efforts that we do. We get involved in helping us build a stronger future for our county and our state. Your monthly due is used to support candidates. The way we do it is we buy signs, we buy literature. You know, we go out and support any way that we can. You know, what money we have, and so that's why it's important. And of course, every once in a while we have to pay a bill too, right? You know, one of the things that the funds were used for was, if you're from King County, you know that last time around it was a tax referendum, right? And so we use that money to fight that and put a stop to it. We got a lot of promos out there, and we won. And I can tell you guys this. Is Jim Cunningham here? Where's Jim? My treasurer. Jim, if you ever want to know where the money's at and where it goes, just ask Jim. Full transparency, you guys can see everything and where we spend it, okay? The membership levels are available at a $10, $25, $50, or $100 per month. So if you can, right at your desk and your tables there, please take a moment to scan the QR code on your table and sign up tonight. We need your help in the fight against the liberal agenda sucking the life out of our beautiful state. So anyway, with that being said, you know what, we really do need your help. One of the things is you get this beautiful membership card. Look at that, right? You're DuPage County. But what we do with this is we have businesses like Colonial Cafe that will, like they'll give you a $50 gift certificate, or they might have some discounts at different locations, whether it's institution, companies like Pizza Bar, or whatever it is. So we try to get these people to work together with us and get involved, and they support us. They support us by giving us places like this, okay? And that's how they do it. So anyway, all right. So I don't take up the rest of the night. Yeah. I'll be back. Don't worry about it. I want to introduce my friend Marky Bilak. Mark is was a radio host, will be again a radio host. Okay, and he's a committeeman, he's a PC. A lot of you guys know what that is. I gotta tell you guys, when you say friend, he's a true friend. He's a good man, and we've spoken, and I've been on his shows, and so it's my honor, and I appreciate the fact that you are here tonight. So thank you. Here you go, sir.
Thank you, Alejandro. Yeah, it's my job here tonight to try to keep things on time. It's 6:24, this was supposed to start at 6. Thanks to Alejandro, we're already way behind. But he's to blame, not me. So, welcome everybody here tonight. Thank you, Alejandro, and thanks for all the work and effort that you put in to try to make the Republican Party as strong as it can be at the local level. I'm honored to have been asked to moderate tonight's First Look Governors Forum. And before we begin, let me take a moment to explain the format for tonight's First Look Governors Forum. We have, as we get started, each candidate will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves. And at the conclusion of the forum, each candidate will also be given 3 minutes to deliver a closing statement. During the forum itself, I will be asking the candidates 4 questions which they have received in advance. So since they're limited to 3 minutes, they should have practiced this over and over again. You should have no trouble staying on time. During the forum itself, I'll be asking the candidates 4 different questions. These questions were not prepared by me, so don't blame me if you don't like the questions. And each candidate will have 3 minutes to respond to each question. To help keep things as close to schedule as possible, our timekeeper, Sandy, she's sitting back here, and she's got, I guess we call them yellow flags, yellow pieces of paper. There's a 30-second sign, that's the yellow marker that she's going to hold up to indicate that time is nearly up. And then there's a red stop sign that Sandy also has. If you can't see it's red, you just see that it's dark. And you'll see that the red stop sign is up when time has expired. I know all of you, especially with what's going on right now in the state of Illinois, could talk forever. I realize that, but please be respectful of the time parameters tonight. Before we get started, just a few quick housekeeping items for our guests in attendance. First of all, thank you for being here, and all of you for caring about the future of our great state of Illinois. I know many, if not most all of you are involved in politics locally, either as a current or former elected official or in another capacity that shows your involvement and concern for our local community. So we appreciate you for that and for being here. And please, however, silence all cell phones tonight so that we can avoid distractions and interruptions throughout our event. The restrooms are located on the main level or the bar level, which most of you are on right now. And the bar will remain open throughout the evening. The restrooms are back in the southeast corner, behind the bar back there, if you'd like to use the restroom throughout the event tonight. So please feel free to quietly get up and refresh your drinks at any time, as there will be no intermission during the program tonight. Okay, so it's time to get rolling, shall we? Let's do this. With us tonight for our First Look Candidates Forum, Mr. Max Solomon could not be here. He had a last-minute personal reason he couldn't be here, so he's not with us. But we do have Mr. James Mendrick. house here in DuPage County. We also have with us tonight Mr. Darren Del Mar. And we have Mr. Ted Debrowski. We will begin tonight with our opening remarks, which again will be 3 minutes each. And we will start with Mr. James Mendrick. James, you are here to introduce yourself. You have the floor, sir.
Oh, how are we all doing today? So, we are what we have accomplished. I've worked in local government for almost 30 years. 7 as your elected chair from DuPage County. 6 years I ran financial crimes in DuPage County for the second biggest county in this state. I've investigated drug cartels, embezzlers, retail theft, rings, sex crimes, anything that had a dollar assigned to it was also illegal to do. After that, 6 years of financial crimes, I was the accreditation manager and audited my own agency for 3 years on over 1,200 standards. After that, I was put in charge of the budget. And for 12 years, I ran an $80 million budget, 504 employees, over 300 contractors, all in government space. I'm the chief contract negotiator, writer of the arbitrated awards, and that's what I've done for 12 years. And the one difference between me and the rest of the state is in 12 years, I've never gone $1 past my $80 million. I have the largest police force in DuPage, and in 7 years as sheriff, we haven't had one use of force complaint on one deputy from one citizen since I've been elected. I was a road deputy myself and never pointed my gun at a human being in over 500 arrest scenarios. We are the leaders in de-escalation. I have the only correctional facility in DuPage. We're the premier rehabilitation forum within this country. We teach rehabilitation to the rest of the country. We've dropped our recidivism rates from 85 to 15%, our opioid rates from 90 to 20%. That's because we use detoxification, mental health specialty work, 200 counselors training in 80 classes a week. Any story down there? He's one of our teachers. Just so you know, this is the way that $1 spent saves 19 in housing costs. In rehabilitation, saves up to $12 million per year in our correctional facility. Myself and other police chiefs made MERIT, the Metropolitan Emergency Response and Investigative Team, where we combine all police forces against 40 agencies within DuPage County to provide police services that will serve the smallest and the biggest with equal protection. Ton of charity work. We've delivered tens of thousands of pounds of foods from Meals on Wheels Senior Services, and we have also contributed 10,000 pounds of produce every year from our jail food population and all of our horticulture and hydroponics works. My family is the Special Olympics, the Special Olympics Torch Run family for Illinois. We create hundreds of thousands of dollars in charity every year doing what we do. This is what we do. This is good government. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James Mendrick is here tonight. Now I'd like to turn the floor over to our second of our candidates to introduce themselves, Mr. Darren Del Mar.
Having me here today. I know that many of you were expecting to have my running mate, Darren Bailey. Unfortunately, could not be here today, but he wanted me to send his well wishes and his regards to everyone here as he takes care of his young grandson, Finn, who was the survivor of the fatal accident that happened a couple of weeks ago. You know, I wanted to thank everyone also for all of the well wishes, for the messages, for the Facebook posts, and for everything that you've done to dull the blade a little bit of the horrible pain that the Bailey's family have been going through. If you haven't been on social media today, there's a pretty cool video that I think you all should see that Darren and Cindy have been given a lot of time, a lot of prayer, and a lot of thought, and we are running for governor and lieutenant. You know, I'm excited and I'm proud to be a part of this team, not just because of the devout respect I have for Darren Bailey, but for the way that I see the community surround him in his own area. And I've learned a lot about him in the last several weeks, more than I ever knew before. We live about 5 hours apart. And I'm very proud to be a part of the ticket, not only as a running mate, but also as a friend. But that hadn't always been the case. You know, several months ago, I had planned to run for lieutenant governor with another, run for governor with another person. I already had my lieutenant governor picked out, ready to run, and joining my colleagues up here on stage as the top tier of the candidate. And Darren reached out to me and he had his team, and they said, Aaron, we'd like to talk to you about running with Darren. I said, I've already been a lieutenant governor. I did it with Darren, with Gary Rabine. I'm not interested. Thank you very much. And they said, well, you at least consider it. I've considered it. Thank you very much. I'm out. And they said, well, you at least meet with Darren for 45 minutes. I said, okay, that I can do. So they came to my office in Sydney, put my phone on the table, I marked 45 minutes. And when that clock was done, I was done. You know, Darren and I had not always seen eye to eye on some issues. He's thrown a lot of rocks in my head. I mean, the man even endorsed my last two opponents against me. It's not a good feeling to start a relationship. But as we started talking in that 45 minutes, it turned into 4 hours. And Darren and I realized we had more in common than we had apart. And we thought, hey, this could be an epic opportunity to make generational change by taking one of the strongest candidates from Southern Illinois and taking one of the strongest from Northern Illinois and combining. Putting our differences aside, and more importantly, putting our egos aside for one goal. And that goal is to beat J.B. Pritzker. Darren and I understand that unity is not about agreeing on everything, it's about agreeing on the things that matter the most. And as you compare and contrast the rest of my colleagues up here on stage and we go through the rest of this wonderful forum, I want you to think about this. It's not about who you necessarily like, or people that you've had differences or squabbles with, or internal political fights. It's with the two candidates you think have the best chance to beat J.B. Pritzker come next November. When we vote on March 17th on St. Patrick's Day, it's not Valentine's Day. You're making a strategic chess move to vote to change Illinois. Thank you.
What have you got? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Darren, come on. And now we turn the floor over to another one of our governor candidates who's here tonight, Mr. Ted Debrowski.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for being here. It's exciting. This is an exciting moment. And running for governor is a big deal because our state's in big trouble. So I'm Ted Debrowski. I'm running for governor, and I'm running because we should be a top 5 state in this country for economic opportunity, for growth, for wages, for education. Yeah. And we're not. But we should be, right? We should be competing with North Carolina, with Tennessee, with Florida, with Texas. And the people here should be able to thrive as much as those people in those states are. And then you have to ask the big question, why aren't we? We have the best resources. We're in the middle of the country. We know the great assets we have, the great infrastructure we have, the great people we have, the great history, the Chicago economic engine. I was just downstate in Southern Illinois, amazing, just in central Southern Illinois, the soil, the farming. Why aren't we the best? And I think we know why we're not the best, because we've got a bunch of Democrats who've been running this state for the last 2 or 3 decades, and the Governor Pritzker, who's made a mess of our beautiful, amazing state. I want to ask, I know we're all in agreement here. I know we're all in agreement here that we want Pritzker out of office, right? Under Governor Pritzker, right, we have the highest property taxes. He doubled the motor fuel tax, so we have the second highest gas taxes. Right? We're losing our population. If it wasn't for the illegal immigrants coming in, we'd be shrinking more. Right? And that's all on him. And I look at job creation. It's something, I'm a numbers guy, if you get those guys who follow me. Under Governor Pritzker in the last 7 years, Texas has created 1.5 million new private sector jobs. Florida, 1.1 million new private sector jobs. Illinois, 25,000. Almost nothing. It's almost zero. And this is why people can't find their opportunity here. That and the property taxes driving people crazy. Not to mention the DEI, right? Not to mention the transgender schools, not to mention the illegal immigration spending that he's done. It's all got to go. Yes. So with that, my name is Ted Debrowski, and I've been working on public policy for the last 15 years. I've been challenging the state, challenging our legislators on taxes, on all these failed policies. I've traveled the state, I've worked with grassroots groups, I've testified in legislature, I've worked directly with legislators, I have been working my butt off to try to fix this state. I got tired of writing about it. I got tired of complaining about it. And I said, I'm jumping in. So here I am. Now, we can talk a lot about what has to happen, and we will tonight. All the changes need to happen. But I want you to think about two things. And Aaron touched on one of them. Winnability. If we want Pritzker out, you've got to look at who can win, and you've got to look at the past results. They matter. That's number one. So if you want them out, look at who can win. Number two, principled governance. We've sent a lot of politicians to Springfield, and 6 months later they're all squishy, right? And that doesn't work for us. You know, this game has been going on for a long time. It's time to do principled leadership. Thank you very much.
So all of our candidates here have introduced themselves that are with us tonight. And just so everybody knows, I will alternate between candidates for each question. And each candidate, as I mentioned, will have 3 minutes to respond to each of the questions that follow. Aaron Del Mar will answer the first round of our 4 questions this evening. And Aaron, the first question I'd like to ask you is, what is the single most important change you believe our state needs in the next 4 years? It's a tough question. And how will you personally lead to make this happen?
Thank you very much for the question. I think the simplest answer is the same reason all these gentlemen are here up on stage together, is we need to change the policy, and more importantly, the person at the top of the ticket, and that's J.B. Pritzker. If we want to make substantial change, generational change in Illinois, it needs to come from the very much at the top. And that matters. You know, the power of the governor has over 2,200 positions they can do. That's starting from the different agency heads. If we want to stop 2,200 children from dying or disappearing over the last 8 years under J.B. Pritzker, then the head of the DCFS has to go. Has to go. If we want to make sure that insurance is more affordable, we need to open up our borders so we can get insurance quotes from other states, not just from ones that keep us captured here in Illinois. You want to talk about Illinois when we have affordability issues. If we talk about how we want to lower property tax and find a new way to calculate property tax in a way that we can all survive in Illinois, and maybe with the right leadership and the right heart, we can thrive. Because really that's the vision that Darren and I are putting forward when we work together and we talk about our policy issues. We want to have an environment where we're not rewarding ComEd after they had just talked to this, the Speaker of the House, Mike Madigan, and helped put him in jail and paid a $350 million fine. Our state legislature and our governor just passed legislation letting them charge us whatever they want on our electricity bills. That is the policy that is being set at the top, and it's trickling down, that is raining down on everybody in this room and then everybody across the state. That is where the change can happen, and that's where Illinoisans can work together, can vote together to change policy, even if we're in the super minority in the House and in the Senate. Because with those positions, we can get all of the patronage jobs out of here. Those that are precinct captains that have no business being in government, but are putting themselves there because they knock on doors in Chicago. These are the changes that make a fundamental difference when we start taking and putting 2,200 highly qualified people who govern with conservative values. And you can see the wins when conservatives are leading when you look at all the red states like Texas and Florida and South Carolina, everywhere that Ted just rattled off. We can make that change if we can get a leader with the intestinal fortitude to govern them. That is what we're talking about. We want to get a leader that guides by family, that guides by faith, that guides conservative values. And that is what the Bailey Del Mar ticket can bring to Illinois.
Guide by experience.
Next up, we welcome Ted Debrowski, and we ask the same question, of course. Ted, what is the single most important change that you believe our state needs over the next 4 years, and how will you personally lead to make this happen?
All right, it is a tough question because there's so many daggone things we'd like to change here. But as I thought about it, the number one change that has to happen, look, we can get Pritzker out of office, right? Let's assume we get him out of office. All right, but then, what do we do as Republicans? What do we do as leaders of change? And this is the big deal. I'm going to tell you that for me, the most important thing is principled leadership. Because you just look at the last few weeks, we had Republicans vote for the mental health bill recently. We had Republicans vote for the pension increase for Chicago. We've had Republicans vote for tax hikes, right? The Republicans voted for the 2017 tax hike. They voted for the gas tax increase. And we will never be able to put a united front against Democrats. We will never be able to have a proper Republican brand if we're not consistent, if we're not principled, and if we're not united as a caucus. Because if we're not, then we have a hard time pinning the blame on the Democrats. And so that's why I think that's the biggest thing that we need to bring together. And you know, it's a little bit controversial to say, but if we can't do that, then we just keep going along to get along, and that doesn't change anything for anybody. So that's for me is the biggest thing. You know, it doesn't just happen at the state level, right? It happens at the county level. It happens in a lot of places. So that's my promise to you. And this is the good thing about the work I've been doing at Wire Points. I have to go on the record all the time on what my stance is on taxes, right? On crime, on every issue. I've been on the record. And so what I would sell to you guys, why you should support me, is because you know my record. You can go see my record on paper over and over again in the press, in the Wall Street Journal, in the Tribune. You know my record, and I will stand with that record, and I will fight for you. I will not give in and cozy up and do deals with the Democrats just to feel good, because that's what we see a lot of happening. So that's my promise to you. Thank you very much.
We finish our first question with Mr. James Mendrick. And once again, what is the single most important change, Mr. Mendrick, that you believe our state needs over the next 4 years? How would you personally lead to make this change happen?
So let's take the very largest factor that's changing the way we live in Illinois, and that is the sanctuary state. That is my number one change that I would day one of being governor. We have a secondary population being laid on a primary population. There's no way we can afford this. There's absolutely no way. So it's the biggest issue. For 4 years, Joe Biden's open borders let people in relentlessly. And you know what? We're the big rehabilitator. We're the nation's leader in rehabilitation in our jail system, so we teach these classes at the National Sheriff's Association. While I'm teaching these classes, I'm attending classes from California and Texas border sheriffs that teach classes about border crossings. And I watched for the first year of Joe Biden's open borders entire jail systems, mental health populations, military people coming in with guns, walking through holes in a fence that were not being guarded. We got the jail populations and their mental health populations first. They've been in our country for 4.5 years. It's not that it's just immigration, it's that it's back and forth transit. They've established patterns, tunnels, airplay, ground play, any way you can come in our country. They figured it out tenfold, and they're coming in and out every day regardless of how the borders are getting controlled because they had access for so long. I mean, this is a really big problem, folks. Think about healthcare. Now, mind you, we passed a budget on July 1st, right? Well, after that, we're now going to pay $2 billion for healthcare of illegal immigrants. We're going to do the abortion pill in all the schools, mandatory mental health screening. I talked to medical experts just 3 days ago that did a tour in my jail, and said 80% of all ER visits are non-emergency, and it's coming from the illegal alien population. That's why you're waiting 2 months for a doctor's appointment. That's why your kids aren't getting educated in school. That's why 50% of the people in my jail can't read or write. And in 2 years, I can put literacy on you, get you a GED, and get you through college, and have you orating reports when our school systems can't do this in 12 years. No, there's a problem out there, folks, and it's really big. Think about this. There was a sting by the feds just the other day. They got 30 CDL drivers that were all illegal immigrants. These are the people plowing through cars, killing people on your roads every single day. But if you ask me, hey, how many people have we stopped and pulled over that were illegal immigrants? I don't know. We're not allowed to ask that question because of the sanctuary state. This is a ruined concept, and you marry it up to the Safety Act and you have chaos. The Safety Act and the sanctuary state are the main two problems that we're having in the state. They both need to be ceased immediately.
All right. right, so that's one question, very strongly answered. Now it's time to move on to our second question of the night. Ted Debrowski will answer this question first. And the question that I ask you now, Ted, is what specific tax cuts or spending reforms would you prioritize in your first budget to address Illinois' pension crisis and high property taxes?
Thank you. I think after visiting many areas of the state, and I know probably my partners up here will agree, property taxes are number one, the biggest complaint everywhere I go. It's by far. I think Illinois Policy Institute just did a poll that showed that as well, so it confirms that. Now, the good news is, okay, now first of all, we have to realize, even if we get the governorship, we either have super majorities or some pretty strong majorities we have to go against. So it doesn't mean that we're going to just be able to make changes just like that. However, the benefit that I'd like to say that I bring to the table is I get to do kind of the Doge-like stuff, right? Because it's what I've been doing for quite a few years, exposing where the spending is, exposing where the problems are, and highlighting it as much as I can. So being the governor and having the bully pulpit and having access to all the departments and all the data, guess what, man? We get exposed, and that's point number one. So I've been doing stuff like this, and I'll tell you where I know where the property tax problems are because I've been studying a long time. Take the salaries of many of our superintendents in schools. The Dalton superintendent, you guys know Dalton's a little tricky place, right? The Dalton superintendent makes $450,000 in income, okay? And he's the top in the state. There's a whole bunch of them that make more than $350,000. Now you know what their pensions become, right? When you make a salary that big, it becomes pensions. So all that stuff inflates. And not only that, school districts compete with one another. They say, hey, that guy's getting $400,000 over there. I want the same. So it's all inflated. So that pushes up property taxes. Then you look at local governments. We have the most units of local government in the country. We have over 7,000 units of local government. That's more than Indiana, Wisconsin, and Iowa combined. And guess what happens when you have a lot of local governments? They're full of bureaucrats, and they all want big pay. And so that's again where your property taxes go. Another one. So here, let me give you an example. New Trier, which is where I am. There's a high school, and there's 6 feeder districts within them. Instead of being one unit district, it's 7 districts. And every single superintendent there makes over $300,000. And all that, they have backhandlers and all that, right? They all make tons of money. That's all property taxes. Now, the other thing that happens is spiking. At the end of, a lot of workers, the last 5 years, they get automatic 6% spikes in their salaries. 30% increase in salaries, big increase in pensions, big increase in property taxes. Accumulated sick leave. They get to accumulate 30 years worth of sick leave and turn it in at the end of their career for 2 years of work. All that is the kind of stuff that we need to expose, and we need to have a Doge campaign with the people of Illinois saying, if you want lower property taxes, we have to attack those problems. So that's what I would do. Last thing, we need to move to 401ks for all new government workers. It's constitutional, and there's no problem doing that. Thank you very much.
Next up, we turn it over to James Mendrick. And James, what specific tax cuts or spending reforms would you prioritize in your first budget to Illinois to address Illinois' pension issues, the crisis, and the high property taxes that we face?
Okay, so the first sentence I'm going to say, it's got to go back to the sanctuary state removal to kind of generate the largest savings. I just want to put that out there. There's nothing that can compare to the savings we get from eliminating sanctuary state. So the next thing are NGOs, non-government organizations. They need a full spending audit. Do you know that we have over $1 billion in NGOs? We have $600,000 going to a township highway commissioner's lily team. I graduated from Lincoln College in Lincoln, Illinois, and they just got $500,000 on an NGO. They've been closed since 2022, folks. They don't exist. I went to the campus a week ago. There isn't a human being on site. How about Guitars Over Guns for $2 million of your taxpayer money? What are they doing there? These are special interest groups getting billions of dollars of your taxpayer monies that can't be audited or FOIA. That's why they shift them over to those groups. They're shifting them to groups that can't be checked on how they're spending your government money. So I want to go into one big thing though that has been important to every single village manager and mayor, and I can see why that I've talked to this entire state. It's called the Local Government Distributive Fund. Every village in this state is supposed to get a portion of the state income tax revenue for our local governments per capita. How big you are is how much you get. So these funds are for services like public safety and infrastructure, while also helping to keep local government taxes low. That's the whole purpose. When they made income tax, it was with the promise that every municipality would get 10% of that money based per capita. So they've dumped that now to 6, so they're taking 40%. This reduction has put a strain on local budgets, forcing difficult decisions on service cuts and impacting tax increases. So the state believes it knows better what to do with that 4%, that 40% of that local government distributed fund that our local governments can take care of us. They're stealing the money, they're taxing our taxes. They're taking income tax on top of what they're already taking. Real quick, I want to go back into IRMRF is a pension that's fully solvent. We're working with the National Sheriff's Association, Illinois Sheriff's Association, to look at different taxing ways to way we can take a pension, somebody in a downstate underwater pension, they can buy credits into a 96% solvent pension system like IRMRF and actually pay into that, transfer tax credits that are pension credits that are underwater into a fully solvent pension system that will longer help us survive. If anyone says they can solve the pension crisis, they're lying to you. Tier 1 is dragging us down, and what we have to do is we have to creep it along long enough to lose the Tier 1. So it's based on mortality, set up that would have people dying at 60 years old, and that's just not how it is anymore. But on the back end of that, I do agree with the 401k, but I call it a mobile pension system. People aren't staying at jobs for careers for 10, 20 years anymore. So if we can create a tier 3 pension and have a 401k mobile pension, so when you quit or go somewhere else, you can take your pension with you, that may be attractive enough to replace the existing pension system. Thank you.
Finally, I ask the same question to Aaron Delmar. Aaron, what specific tax cuts or spending reforms would you prioritize in your first budget to address Illinois' pension crisis and our high property taxes?
Well, I think the first thing that anybody needs to do if they want to make any changes is get elected. Does anybody here know any police or firemen? Right? They're Republicans, right? Telling them that you're going to take their pension away is not a good way of getting them to vote for you. If you have anybody here from Central Illinois that's a prison guard, they're all Republicans. You want them to get on your team? Tell them that you want to take their pension away. If you want to talk to all the downstate teachers that are in southern Illinois that are closer to Kentucky than they are to Chicago, they're all ruby red Republicans. Do you want them to vote for you? Tell them that you're going to take their pension away. Right? What we need to be doing is similar to what we're trying to do in Illinois, and have 2 tiers. But when you make a pension with somebody, that's a promise. And coming out and taking and breaking promises is not an effective way of leadership in my mind. My colleagues may disagree with me on that. I think that we need to be able to look at ways that we can grow Illinois. Sheriff Mendrick talked a lot earlier today about borders. He talked about the border in Nevada and Texas. I'm concerned about the border that's in Kentucky, Indiana, and Wisconsin as the businesses leave and their tax burden stays here with us. Because when the businesses leave, so do the people. And their burden falls on us too. So somebody leaves and they pay $30,000 a year in taxes, and we got about 300 people in this room. Each of us are going to pay $100 every single time somebody leaves. We can grow Illinois. We can make Illinois a place that you're proud of, that you're happy to live here. We can make Illinois a place that your children, when they graduate from college, want to come back because there's opportunity here, and there's jobs, and there's a path they can get that first time home, that they can thrive in Illinois, that we're not looking at going to Iowa or Wisconsin or Minnesota or any other place, because this is home, and we've made home better. Policy starts from the top, like we've talked about, and setting a policy where we want to expand and grow our economy to lessen the burden of debt and taxes that everybody here all shares together is the way that we make Illinois a better state. Not by taking people's pensions away and driving them to vote for Democrats that won't.
Ladies and gentlemen, Del Mar. So we are working our way towards a halfway point with tonight's first look forum. I'd once again like to thank the Rock House for hosting tonight. The Rock House put on this great event. What a great venue. And it's nice and quaint and it's packed full of people that care. We appreciate that. I'm Mark Violet, Marky B, your MC, and I'm here to remind you that the bar remains open. The bar remains open and the restrooms are right by the bar. I would also like to everybody to know that we are streaming live tonight on Kane GOP's Facebook page, also on TikTok. So I imagine that if you want to watch this later, you can go back and watch it on the Kane GOP Facebook page. Thanks to everyone who is streaming us live tonight, watching us on Facebook or the different social media ways that you can be watching us this evening. And for those in attendance, the stream of the event will be archived, as I mentioned, so you can watch it again later. As I mentioned earlier, we have no intermissions tonight. We're going to keep on going. So it's time to move on to question number 3 this evening. And James Mendrick will answer first during this round. Sheriff Mendrick, what would you do differently from the current administration to reduce crime and improve safety in Chicago and the surrounding suburbs?
I think that one is written for me. So, well, let's start respecting and treating our law enforcement like the heroes they are every single day. They're here to protect, support, funding, not to be demoralized by an administration that calls them thugs. A sickness they call them. This is horrible that they're taking beatings in Chicago. I couldn't imagine being in Chicago County. Do you know how there was a news story in Chicago about 6 months ago asking why so many DuPage County Sheriff squad cars are in Chicago? It's because they're lateraling all over our agency, buddy, and we let them take their cars home. So yeah, we're in Chicago because you're losing your officers, so some of you will treat them well. Let's go with the Safety Act. Let's start with that. You know what, they call it no cash bail because they want you to just concentrate on that one little part. You know what, I can solve that in a heartbeat. No cash bail, fine. Let's make it category based by your IUCR codes, your charging codes. How about all felonies stay in jail? How about multiple repeat offenders stay in jail? You don't need to worry about money now. That sounds really, really easy. They just don't want you to think it's that easy because it goes against the media diatribe that they program into. Safety. Sanctuary and safety and say great words, right? They're adjectives that are BSing you because they're easy to change into monikers made by the media to fool you. So street takeovers, that's a big thing they have a problem with. Out here in DuPage, you know why we don't have street takeovers? Because we close off the intersection and pound all the cars and arrest everybody that are doing the street takeover. That's how we solve that stuff. The feds, we'd like to work with the feds. Bring them on. Uncle Don, can you help us with the sanctuary stand? I'd like in my jail now so we can deal with this in a correctional facility. That would be really wonderful. I can take those federal employees and combine them with strike force units that will concentrate on prostitution, drug dealing, murders for hire, drug cartels. You know, I'm investigating a triple homicide right now with the Russian drug cartel in Aurora in DuPage County. Killed a 5-year-old kid and his family. I've got Mexican drug cartel slinging fentanyl. I've got the Chinese drug cartel laundering their money and trade dollar agua all over us. So, come on guys, we have to start paying attention to this. Merit, we have to utilize our maximum assets and leverage technology. ShotSpotter, they're all crying about that thing being gone now. So how about acoustic energy discharge devices, which can now take the shape and the frequency of a gunshot and triangulate it instantly and tell us where the gunshots are coming from. ShotSpotter's done, acoustic energy discharge is in. We have more, I created a digital forensics unit and a school resource officer unit that is now going to network to do social media comparisons to gauge any kind of violence that go down in your schools and create technologies that allow access to the PA systems, the hallways, and the mapping and camera systems of your school. And we will take a hard approach to safety in Illinois.
Next, I want to bring back Darren Del Mar to answer the same question. Darren, what would you do differently from the current administration to reduce crime and improve safety in Chicago and in the surrounding suburbs.
Well, it's a little difficult going after a sheriff. Great, I gotta give him credit, that was an amazing answer. And he did a great job. He's right, the Safety Act has to go. But along with the Safety Act out the door, I think that people need to be talking about the Trust Act. And for those of you that don't know what the Trust Act is, it's a law that's in Illinois that says that Illinois can't talk to federal government or federal officers regarding illegal immigrants. Right? This is a Trust Act. And I think the reason that is the most important is because every time that we have a felon that we find out that's illegal, after they get arrested and they do their time and they get released, we can't notify federal law enforcement to take them away. It's a revolving door. What do we have to do then? They get sent to home, federal officers come, they have to go to an apartment complex, they gotta disrupt the whole neighborhood, they gotta chase them down, they gotta tackle them, put everybody around the whole situation, you know, and risk, not only them, but the federal officers as well, right? Immigration is one of the biggest challenges that we have in Illinois. If we're all sitting at the Bulls game, I was there a couple days ago, we're at the United Center, and there's 65,000 seats, and every single one of them is full. That is how many illegal immigrants have come into the Chicagoland area in a very short period of time. It's put a tremendous strain on our social systems process. It has artificially increased the education system in the Chicago public schools. Where they had historic decreases, they're artificially inflated right now because of the immigration problem that we have. If you're used to going to Town Children's Hospital because you got a broken arm and you're used to waiting for 8 hours, now you're waiting 16 hours. If you are used to getting your garbage picked up every week, it's probably going to turn to 9 days because we have to change those funds to some other place. If you've been told and you live on the southwest side of Chicago for over 5 decades that there's no resources for public education, there's no resources for playgrounds, for mental health, for public health, for pretty much anything, and you've been deserted by the Democrats, and all of a sudden $2.3 billion has been found for people that just got here that aren't even American citizens, how do you think that makes you feel? That is a prime opportunity for Republicans to pick up more votes in the city of Chicago. I know this, I'm the Cook County Republican chairman, these are my people. I understand that. That is how we can make inroads because the Democrats have deserted them and they're looking for a new home. We can offer them that home. That is a great talking point that we can be bringing out to those areas and drive more voters to the Republican Party. You know, Illinois is ready for a substantial change. We're right. It is the time. But what we need is to have leaders that are based on conservative values, that are willing to make the hard decisions that are unpopular many times, and do the things that are just right.
Ladies and gentlemen, and finally, we asked Ted Debrowski the same question this evening. Mr. Debrowski, what would you do differently from the current administration to reduce crime and improve safety in the city of Chicago and in the surrounding suburbs?
All right, I think no surprise that we're pretty much in sync here. You know, I was amazed at how extreme, you know, Illinois is always extreme under Governor Pritzker, right? All the laws he passes are extreme. And this sanctuary state stuff is just one of those. So in Florida, if they find a bad guy, illegal immigrant bad guy, you know what they do? The local authorities take the guy in handcuffs and hand him right over to the federal authorities. Problem solved. No chaos, no anything. Just done. And you know, DeSantis mandated by law that local enforcement must work with federal authorities. Okay? Indiana, similar law. Local enforcement must work with federal authorities. Here in Illinois, it's the exact opposite. Local law enforcement cannot. It is prohibited from working with law enforcement. That's how crazy and how extreme we've become. And that's the work that we're fighting to fight back against. So the sanctuary state stuff should go, right? And the welcoming policies invite them, right? When you spend $2 billion on healthcare alone for illegal immigrants, you just invited a lot of criminals in that group. Even if it's a small percentage, it's a lot of people. So the welcoming programs have to go. You know, the Safety Act, we talked about that. Got to go. All these things have to go.